Hey guys, welcome to my first YouTube video. If you're watching this and you're like, who is this girl? My name is Karine and I'm the crochet artist behind my brand Loop and Billy. You may or may not recognize me from TikTok or Instagram. If not, welcome anyways. I'm so glad you're here and I'm excited to show you what I have in store for my first video. Today, I decided to show you one pattern that I'm going to be using for my markets this summer. I'm going to be attending my first crochet markets as a crochet artist, and I wanted to show you one of the plushies that I'm going to be making. This is the little octopus that we're going to be making today. It is so cute. It's super easy to make. It's no sew, so it's really good for beginners. It seems like it's a really good seller in markets, so it's also going to be practical for any of you who are attending some markets and need some ideas for crochet plushies to make. I've seen this all over. People are making them a lot, but I decided to come up with my own pattern. As a crochet artist over the years, I've become really good at looking at a picture and being able to recreate it. So I was inspired by everyone that had been making it, but I decided to make it my own and create it so it's exactly the way I want it to look like. So I'm going to show you today my specific pattern. This is just my personal touch on it, and I hope you like it. So let's get right into it. Quick disclaimer, if you're a complete beginner and you don't even know how to do some basic stitches in crochet, you should definitely go and watch some videos or some tutorials online on that before doing this tutorial. This is a beginner tutorial, but you need to know the basics first. In this particular tutorial, I use a magic ring, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, increase, decrease, work in the front loops only and the back loops only. So if you're not sure what those are, go and learn those prior to doing this tutorial. But if you're still a beginner but you already know the basic stitches, this pattern is perfect for you. It's really easy to follow, really easy to do, and I hope you like it. Alrighty, first things first, you're gonna need some yarn. I'm using the Loops and Threads Sweet Snuggles in Lavender. This is what I'm gonna be using, but obviously you can use any yarn you want. This is just going to influence the size and texture of your final product. You're also going to need a crochet hook. I'm using a 6mm one for my chenille yarn, but you might have to use a smaller or a bigger one depending on the yarn you're using. As we're working through the pattern, we're also going to need some stitch markers. We're only going to need one for most of the pattern, but at some point I'm going to indicate where you're going to have to use a second one if you wish to, just to help you locate some of the stitches on a specific round of the pattern. You're also going to need some safety eyes. These, I believe, are 12mm safety eyes with their little plastic washers to secure them in the back. Whoops, I dropped it there. But yes, you need 2 washers and 2 safety eyes for your little octopus. And of course, some scissors to cut off your yarn and a yarn needle, which is optional. You can also use your crochet hook to weave in the ends at the end, but I personally like to use a yarn needle. I find that it's easier to weave through. And I almost forgot, you're going to need some fiberfill or polyester fill or stuffing, whatever you want to call it. This is just to fill up our little plushie so it's nice and squishy. Okay, so we're going to start by creating a magic ring. This is just how I do it. You can do it however you want. And we're going to work 6 single crochet into our magic ring. Next, you want to secure your work. I have 2 loops here, so I'm pulling on my first one and then the second one. It's a little bit hard with chenille yarn, but just keep trying and you'll get it eventually. So here, I like to start and use my stitch marker to mark the last stitch of my row, which is the 6th one. And we're going to start the second row. So just locate your first stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one here. You want to work 2 single crochets into each stitch around. So 6 increases for row 2. Your last stitches are always going to be worked in the stitch marked with the stitch marker. Woo. So remove your stitch marker, work your last stitches, and put it right back into the last stitch of this row. We now have 12 stitches into our row 2. Row 3, we're going to work in the next stitch 1 single crochet, and then the next 2 single crochet. So it's going to be single crochet increase times 6 for row 3 with 18 stitches at the end. Okay, sorry about that. Let me start this again. So for row 3, we're going to work 1 single crochet and then 1 increase in the next stitch. So we're going to do single crochet increase times 6 for row 3, and at the end we're going to have 18 stitches. Here's my yarn coming for me again. So I'm removing my stitch marker and I'm doing my last 2 stitches into this stitch and placing my marker again on the last stitch of this row, which is stitch number 18. For row 4, we are going to increase again. Last row we increased 1 single crochet, then 1 increase all around. For this row it's going to be 2 single crochet, then 1 increase. What I like to do when I increase the rounds to kind of break up the increase pattern and make my project look as rounded as possible, I kind of break it apart. So I start with 1 single crochet, and then right away I do an increase, and then I go ahead and do 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, then 1 increase. And I'm gonna do 2 single crochet, 1 increase all the way around, and my last stitch here where my stitch marker is going to be my last single crochet that I skipped when I first started to increase in my round. So I'm gonna keep increasing here. We're doing 2 single crochet, 1 increase all the way around. Once I'm done with this increase, you can see I have 1 stitch left in my stitch marker. I'm going to do only 1 single crochet because it's the one I skipped in the beginning, and I'm putting my stitch marker on the last stitch I just made. And for this round we have 24 stitches. Now for rounds 5, 6, and 7, we're gonna do 24 stitches all around. I'm not gonna do this on camera because it's pretty repetitive. So you're gonna do 24 single crochet all around for 3 rounds, and I'm gonna meet you back here when I'm done with row 7. Okay, I'm done with row 7, and this is what it should look like. You have a nice rounded dome. Just to give some precision on what I was saying before when I said that I wanted to break the increase pattern, basically when you do increases in each row, and for the first row you do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, then you do 2 single crochet, 1 increase, then the other one you do 3 single crochet, 1 increase. The increases are always going to come up in one line, and you're going to see that line. Your work is not going to be perfectly rounded. It's going to look dented in some areas because you're going to have the increase always following each other. But when you break up the increase pattern, then the increase is not always at the same spot, which means your work is going to be a lot more rounded than it would have been. For row 8, we're going to start decreasing, and we're going to go back to 18 stitches. So we're going to have to do 2 single crochet, then 1 decrease 6 times. 1, 2, and when you decrease you want to go through 1, 2 stitches and crochet them together. We're going to do this all the way around. At the end, I'm going to remove my stitch marker here just to crochet these 2 stitches together. And this becomes my last stitch, which is the 18 stitches. The 18th stitch of this round. For row 9, we're going to create the little tentacles of our octopus. So these here. And we're going to work in the front loop only. So let me show you what I mean by that. You have your stitches here and they have 2 loops. So one in the front here that we call, and one in the back. It's like a V shape here. So we're only going to go into the first one, into the front loop only. I left the back loop there. And we're going to do 1 single crochet, and then in the same front loop we're going to go back into the same one and do 1 half double crochet, and into the same loop again we're going back in the front loop and doing another half double crochet. And then you're going to want to slip stitch into the front loop only, always, of the stitch right next to it. That is our first little tentacle. And I just want to show you here in the next round, which is row 10, we're gonna have to work in the back loops only of this specific round, which is round 8, where we're working in the front loops only at the moment. You're gonna have to find the back loops when you're working in the 10th round, and this can be a little challenging, especially for beginners and this type of yarn. So you're just gonna use a second stitch marker to mark here the back loop that you skipped for this round. So it's going to be a little bit easier to find when you're on row 10. So let's keep doing that. You're going to do in the front loops only all around. So into the next stitch you're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, a second half double crochet, and slip stitch in the front loops only of the next stitch. So in one stitch, 1 single crochet, 2 half double crochets, and into the next stitch, 1 slip stitch. We're going to do this all the way around, and I'll meet you when I'm done with this row. So once you've reached the end of row 9, this is what it's going to look like, your little tentacles. They're really subtle, but they're super cute. And I'm going to slip stitch in my last stitch here that was marked with my stitch marker. So still in the front loop only, I'm going to slip stitch here. And all right, for row 10, yes, I switched my stitch marker because the other one broke. They're plastic and they break very easily. So anyways, I marked the back loop only of my first stitch here, and this is where we're going to work. For row 10, we're going to keep the creasing, this time in the back loop only of this row. So you can remove your stitch marker now that you see exactly where the back loop is, right here. And I'm going to do 1 single crochet and then 1 decrease. So locate 1, 2 back loops, 1 decrease. I'm just going to mark my last stitch here again, just to make sure we know where we are. All right, so locate the back loop, 1 single crochet, 1 decrease. The last one is going to be a little tricky because it kind of overlaps the first stitch of the other row, but just twist a little bit here and go into the back loop only of the last slip stitch that you did for the other row. And now we have 12 stitches for this 10th row. I'm going to mark my stitch. Before we do our last row and we start closing up our little octopus, we have to put some eyes and we have to fill her up. So I'm just gonna put this one here to show you guys, with the one I already made, how to count your rows. So basically this is your first one with your magic ring where there were 6 single stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I put my eyes between rows 6 and 7, about 5 stitches apart. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what I'm gonna do for the other one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put an eye right here. And I'm going to secure it in the back with the plastic washer. Press on it, just make sure it's nice and secure. And I'm going to count 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to put the other eye right here. And also secure it in the back. Okay, and I'm going to use my polyester filling to fill her up. I just tuck in the tail from our magic ring inside and then fill the little octopus. You want her to be nice and filled, not too much, but enough so it has a nice shape and it's nice and squishy. Okay, now that it's nice and stuffed, let's grab our crochet hook again, and we only have one more row to make, which is row 11. We're going to do 6 decreases all around. So grab 1 stitch, another stitch, and do 1 decrease. We're going to do 5 more. There you go. To close up, I like to go into the next stitch and just slip stitch and then cut my yarn. You don't need a lot, just cut a little bit, pull it through. Then I'm going to grab my yarn needle and I'm going to weave through the front loops only of the 6 stitches that we did in the last row. And pull gently on the chenille yarn to close it up. Chenille yarn is going to fray a little bit, so it's going to be nice and secure. You can do a knot. I don't necessarily like to make one, but I'll do one with you guys right here. So I just do a simple knot to make sure it's not going anywhere, and then I just weave the yarn anywhere through the octopus, and you're ready to cut the ends. Tuck this in, and here it is. You have a little cute octopus ready for your markets. I hope you like this tutorial. I hope it was easy for you. If you're a beginner and this was a little bit hard, don't give up. Practice makes perfect, or almost perfect, and I promise you, you'll be able to make this in no time. Alright you guys, here we have it, our little octopus. I hope you guys liked the tutorial. I really hope that it was easy for you to follow. If you have any feedback on my tutorial or you have any questions, you can leave a comment down below. Consider liking and sharing this video if you liked it. I hope you guys will be gentle with me. This was just my humble beginning and my first tutorial on here. I, for one, really enjoy sharing with you what I like to make. If you like what you're watching, I hope you'll consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. I would love to grow my YouTube family and share as much as I can with you guys. But this is it for today's video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!